time on my own. All the places that we go, all this pain builds within. Footsteps fade, what could have been? Finally I feel more free. The end of you and me, let it go, let it be. My heart belongs to me. My heart belongs to me. You're never gonna let me go, and I will never let you go. And now I'm feeling stronger, feeling stronger. You're never gonna let me go, and I will never let you go. And now I'm feeling stronger, feeling stronger.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are here for Learning 5's Week 1 EU Show Match Set 2 between Warwick's Bizarre Adventure and Helpless Kitties. My name is Niberia, and I am joined here by Penguin God as we get into Champion Select.
Yep, and I will remind the audience that we do have the pick bands done previously using a Pro Draft. If you don't know what Pro Draft is, do a nice little Google search, you'll figure it out. It's literally just a champion select tool, a little less forgiving than the in-client draft, but we have everything picked out already, and they're just going to ban out the champions they banned, but pick the champions in the order they were picked for their roles, not for their just for their lanes, and regardless of where they're picked in Pro Draft. But we can see Pro Draft, and we can even show you and tell you where the emphasis has been. So we can tell you that Scion is going to be the pickup for Noxian Dream here. Makes sense because Scion is a Noxian champion. And that was a third pick coming out of Team Warwick Bizarre Adventure here.
We see a little bit of a top lane focus here in the band so far. Slight mention of the bot lane with that Xayah and the Alistar bans. Xayah, very strong in the Xayah Rakan combo, but indeed useful in her own right. Going to get banned out there, which means we don't expect Rakan to be picked up, and indeed we didn't. We see Alistar coming out as a ban, which is great to stop those engages, but speaking of engages, we have Cho'Gath and Skarner coming out, some beefy tanks with a lot of CC, while Sejuani and Scion are picked on the side of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, Sejuani and Skarner are kind of like the LCS special right now. Those two picks are just highly contested over and over again. They just seem to do pretty well overall. Skarner, I think, does pretty well throughout the early and the mid game, especially as soon as he gets that level 6. Sejuani does better throughout almost all points in the game, so she's kind of a more contested pick, but I think that's just what I've seen as far as the LCS goes. But Galio versus Vladimir, I feel like this is just going to be a snooze fest in the mid lane. I don't think they're really going to be able to kill each other. Vladimir is just going to pull away, and Galio is just going to walk away because Galio is going to be able to get those magic resist shields. But that's just my theory, Nibiria.
Yeah, and with those two picks, we're seeing sort of the team comp shape up a tiny bit, at least on the blue side. Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, it looks like going for a little bit of global presence with the Galio and the Scion ults, but the Sejuani, while not having as much global presence, is very strong in the team fights. So they have a lot of CC, a lot of lockdown, and a little bit of damage coming out from the Galio, but not a huge amount. It's not something like what you'd see from the Vladimir on the opposing side. So I'm kind of worried about their team comp going forward, because I think they're going to need a little bit more damage than they have right now.
Yeah, they're going to have damage coming out of the AD carry position, but As we see, the band on blue side, their last ban was a missed ban. They missed it and they didn't make it up here. That's all good for us. But Jujavon is going to pick up his 80 carry here. It's going to be Caitlyn. Caitlyn does put out a lot of damage in the late game, but she has such a big drop off point in the mid game.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how it will compare to this Varus as well. I think Caitlyn Janna is a good lane, and especially late game, Janna will be giving Caitlyn those juicy shields with a little bit of attack speed thanks to Ardent Sensor most likely, and a lot of AD thanks to the natural scaling on that Eye of the Storm, as well as maybe some AP. But on the other hand, we have Varus who does a little bit better in the early mid, but this strikes me as a little bit weird because Varus, the build right now, has become, well, not necessarily for everyone, but it's been found that you can now pretty much go AP Varus. So I'm wondering if with the changes to Gunblade, if we'll see that same AD on hit sort of Varus as before, or if we'll see a different build. Because I don't think double AP is really good for this composition for Helpless Kitties.
Yeah, we'll have to see, but I do think Ferris is likely going to go the excuse me, the AD on hit build. That's my theory anyway, where he's just gonna be his AP or AD threat on his team, whereas Vladimir and Cho'Gath are both gonna do mostly AP damage. Cho'Gath is looking like he has exhaust and ignite right now. I'm not sure if that's a spectator bug or he is actually just gonna have different summoner spells, but on the blue side, we have a super solid late game team fighty protect the Caitlyn comp where Caitlyn's just gonna put out a bunch of DPS. Scalio and Sejuani are gonna protect her, and Sion's gonna do hard engages. But we do see Cho'Gath swap to flash teleport right at the last second there. Um, yeah, we see a solid front line coming out of blue side, and we see a pretty good front line coming out of red side too. This is going to be a lot of front to back fights. The front line's kind of going at each other, and then the back line's trying to kill the front lines as fast as they can. And I think that in that case, I would give the front line melting capabilities over to Warwick's Bizarre Adventure this game. Uh, because they have that Caitlyn, Varus doesn't do as well killing tanks, and doesn't usually attack as fast as Caitlyn, especially right off the bat. Varus needs to get procs of his passive to be able to attack as fast as he can. But yeah, I think the belting the frontline capability is going to be stronger for the side of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure.
And that's a worrying trend if that's going to be the case, especially because this Caitlyn Janna lane is going to be so strong in the early game. Yes, Varus traditionally at least was known for his early game poke with that Q, and Lulu as well with her Glitter Lance is able to put out some supporting poke as well. But if you're going to be going for the more on-hit build, your Q just simply is not going to hit as hard. You're not going to be maxing it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you max E or W. So in this case, we're going to be worrying about the blue side bot lane just taking over the red side bot lane. So at this point, I'm expecting S8 jungle to be looking towards the bot lane at least a little bit to maybe counter a gank I'd expect from Jui. Because if you're having that weak lane, they're probably going to be shoved under tower, especially with Caitlyn's proclivity for taking down turrets
Mm-hmm.
as much and as fast as possible. We might see a lot of fighting down in this bot lane.
Yeah, we very much might, and we cannot. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the Skarner Impale, that ultimate coming out of him, and he provides a lot of pick potential with that. And I feel like if he can get that onto Caitlyn in the mid and late game, and this team can just burst him, that's gonna be just a game one for them. I feel like one good Impale late game is gonna be the game if unless Blue Side can disengage and wave clear, but they don't have a whole lot outside of Caitlyn, so. We'll have to see how that works out and if Dewey can get on to Javon here.
Absolutely. We're going to be in game in a few seconds here. Stick around, enjoy the music for a little bit, and we'll see you in game one of the show match.
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready? Are you ready? No! I said, are you
A summoner has reconnected.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here in Game 1 between Warwick's Bizarre Adventure and Helpless Kitties, or at least we would be if there weren't a pause. My name is Niberia. I am joined here still by Penguin God. Penguin, say hello to the people since we have more time.
Hey people, we have the typical Learning 5's pause. Looks like they started with a nice 30-second pause. I think they're getting, I didn't notice who it was, but someone has disconnected, and we will be getting them in just now. But they have now loaded onto the Rift, and we already see two dematerializers on the Scion and the Vladimir.
Yep, and that is a great time to intro the teams. On the blue side, we have Warwick's Bizarre Adventure with Noxian Dream in the top lane, S8 Jungle in the jungle, very fitting. Pyranthos on the mid lane, Jujavan on 80 carry, and Gatesa on that Janna support.
And on the red side, we have Helpless Kittens with Professor Oak in the top lane, Dewey in the jungle, Sertsu in the mid lane, Taeoni? I'm gonna go with Taeoni in the bot lane, and supporting him is Pikmin.
Yep, we're going to see a little bit of level 1 positioning coming out here. I don't expect anything too aggressive. There is the possibility of the Scion level 1 cheese, but that would be the reason why Dewey and Professor Oak are here trying to stop it. Scion, for those who don't know, not as effective as it used to be, but you can start your enemy's red buff, die to it, still kill it, keep the red buff in your passive, and then teleport to lane. However, it doesn't give you level 2 anymore, so generally considered not worth it. And you have to waste teleport just for that.
Now, I will point out that Professor Oak has the most wonderful Cho'Gath skin. It's literally just Nightmare Cho'Gath, the blue skin. It looks absolutely wonderful, and I'm glad he picked that skin.
Yeah, the the visual update they gave to Cho'Gath is pretty great, honestly. So, glad to see that in-game. Well, it's a slight update, especially with the VFX. They're going to look so clean. So we see both junglers starting off at some buffs. Actually, it looks like Dewey might be starting on those Raptors. Not surprising with Skarner's huge AoE, but I worry about his health bar, because if you look, he's already at like a quarter health.
Yeah, he's pretty low at this point. He's already popped one of his potions. He's going to be a little scared to go to his red buff at this point, but he does have Smite. He is going to have that health regen coming from that. He did also use a second charge of his potion, so he will be alright going into the red buff. So he shouldn't be too bad, but noticing that on blue side, S8 Jungle should have communication from his team that Dewey didn't get any help from any laner, and from that he can probably infer that Dewey started those Raptors and that he'd be very low, so he could invade, but S8 Jungle also went Aftershock rather than Fleet of Footwork, so he's not going to be as healthy in the jungle as he wants to be.
And one of the other problems with that, we were mentioning in Champion Select that a lot of the early game and the game itself is going to be on the back of this Skarner and how he chooses to path, how he chooses to gank, and the impact of his ultimate. But if you have a problem like that where you start at the Raptors and start with Machete, no less, because Talisman gives you a lot more healing, you're going to be low, you're going to be slow, and you're going to be having a lot of problems that the Sejuani simply isn't going to have. So, potential early mistake here from the side of Helpless Kitties, and I it's so early that they can almost certainly recover, but it is worrisome, and hopefully it doesn't mess them up too hard in the spot lane. We can already see Helpless Kitties getting shoved in.
I will admit that Teoni and Pikmin are kind of holding their own in this lane. Their health bars, or their combined health, is higher than that of Jujavon and Geitzi. But nice damage return there. The hail of arrows does get a lot of damage, and they're doing very well in this lane. They're keeping their health up. They're staying back out of the poke range, dodging out those Piltover Peacemakers. And Jujavon and Geitzi are just taking a lot of poke in this lane, and that does not bode well for them. This is a lane they should be just hard winning.
Yep, Surtsu taking a lot of damage in the mid lane as we see a little bit of a ships passing in the night situation with the junglers down bot. Jui was looking for it pretty hard, but no Predator, and being seen as he goes into the jungle means no gank for him.
Yep, and I will point out that in the bot lane, Jujavon has gone with press the attack, whereas Teoni has gone with the fleet footwork, which is going to keep him at much higher health over Jujavon. The press the attack is going to do a lot better in the late game, and it's going to speak to that tank melting power that I was discussing earlier. But in this laning phase, it's going to be really difficult for him to keep up with the sustain of Teoni. Nice.
Guess we're not seeing a gank in the top lane.
I guess Durka Camber doesn't know what to do. It's freaking out a little bit. Alright. So we saw there a nice exchange in the bot lane. I will point out that Teoni has gone with the Doran's shield and the health potion, so he's not going to be doing as much damage, but you can see that it doesn't matter because he can just tank up all the shots coming out of Jujavon there, and is just going to be able to hold himself out for those trades and heal up afterwards. And that's doing very well for him in this lane. It's keeping him sustained, keeping him high health, and making it so that Jujavon and Geitzi can't really poke him out of this lane, especially with help of Pikmin as well, with those shields.
And realistically, this should be a lane that they're winning at least a little bit, because Varus doesn't really have that many anti-poke tools. There's no sustain on the side of Helpless Kitties' bot lane, but because of a combination of rune choices and item choices, we're seeing them come out on top, and that's going to be worrisome when we get into the mid game and Varus gets his power spikes. So
Exactly.
we'd expect at this point for one of the junglers to come down bot, and we see S8 jungle thinking about it. But speaking of junglers, earlier we saw Jui go up top and burn flash, but overstay a little bit. So I'm hoping the pathing here isn't too much of a problem. There's no Predator available yet because Jui has not backed, but when it is available after he hits 6, you should expect to see a pretty big gank somewhere on the map. So keep an eye out for that.
I will point out, though, that Noxian Dream did miss that cannon minion. He did not get the hit on that, and that is a lot of gold lost by him. That was, you saw Teoni grab it there for 66 gold that he just lost in that lane, whereas Professor Oak did get the other one. So that was a recent change in patch 8.6, I believe it was, where both the melee or the caster minions are worth less, the melee minions are worth slightly more, but they don't grow in gold as time goes on. And the cannon minions are worth way more, they're tankier, and their gold increase over time is very much increased. So cannon minions are like a little mini objective you fight over now. And there was no fight over it in top lane, it was just Noxian Dream didn't get it.
A little bit of trouble here for this Janna. Incredibly low. Heal being burned by Jujavon. Getting a lot of damage taken there by the bot lane of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure. And this is just continuing the trend earlier, which is kind of mind-boggling. You know, Caitlyn lane should be having at least a lot of pressure here, and it looks like Teoni and Pokemon just doing the best they can to keep that from happening. And Jujavon about to die here, but instead Teoni flashes in and dies.
He felt it. He felt the kill in his heart, but he just didn't get it. He got baited and had to flash in to try and get the kill. But he had his heal up. He could have burned a heal and potentially gotten both kills. But Pokemon was also right in range, and I think he was low on mana, so he couldn't really help. But man, that was real rough by Tony, burning his flash and dying in that lane for first blood.
Absolutely big concern there for the bot lane. They were doing so well. They were expected to not do great in the early game, as we said. Oh, Predator coming in on to Pyranthos in the mid lane. Impale not going to go out just yet. The stun going to come out. Impale going to follow, and it looks like finally Pyranthos is going to fall down, but so much burned there. Only a flash from Pyranthos, and yes, they got the kill, but that was Predator, that was Flash, that was Impale from Dewey, so his impact on the map is going to be so much lower.
Yeah, and that was also the ult from Zertsu. And what's gonna happen is Pyranthos burned his flash, so that's gonna be down. Zertsu might have kill pressure in this lane, especially because he got the kill. But beside that, Pyranthos is just gonna build MR and be fine. Dewey does get the kill mid lane. I will say that was a fair trade. It was a lot burned. He did burn his flash, but that wasn't too bad of a trade, honestly, for either team. They each got things out of it. Pyranthos burned the flash out of Dewey and I think the ghost out of Zertsu, or I think he burned it earlier. But yeah, that was an interesting trade coming out there by Dewey.
But a gank is a gank that's going to tie up the kills 1-1. Oh, we might see an engage here. Nope. Bot lane playing it safe now, trying to keep up, do something with the first kill they received. And we'll see if they decide to fight with it. It looks like S8 Jungle is going to be coming down into that bot lane, try and affect the lane a little bit. Just waiting.
Yeah,
carefully.
The poke coming out from Helpless Kitty's bot side is just so strong. We didn't really give him credit for this, but Dewey gonna go into
Dewey's
Pyranthos
going
here.
fishing. Pyranthos ate the bait. Is he gonna be okay? He's going for the Galio ultimate into the bot lane onto S8 Jungle. So that's a gank that's been revealed at this point, but it doesn't look like the bot side of Helpless Kitties cares all that much.
Yeah, the heroic entrance onto SA Jungle kind of gave his position away because Teonian Pokemon saw that SA Jungle was getting ulted there. It was kind of funny to me, to be honest, but Pokemon getting low.
Did he go down there? Some great play there from Jujubon. Not enough jukes coming out. Feet not fancy enough. 2 kills now on this Caitlyn.
Yeah, one kill onto Teoni and 1 kill onto Pokemon there. Rough and rougher for them in that lane. Pokemon just taking a lot of damage, but SA Jungle in kind of a bad spot, does get away pretty easily, but there's a gank coming out from Juri and Zertsu.
Uh-oh, this is going to be a 3v2 here. The Monsoon going to come out, try and save a little bit of time, gets in a lot of trouble. Teleport going to be coming in. The support has died so far. Will Jujubon be able to survive as the jungler comes in to save his AD carry? The fight is going in the absolute wrong direction here for Helpless Kitties as Juice is about to fall down. He barely survives. No, the Piltover Peacemaker is going to take him. 5 men have come bot now, and it looks like Helpless Kitties are living up to their name. The tower dive continues. S8 Jungle about to die for it, but so will Zertsu. Pokemon the last one remaining for their team in this fight. Will it be 4-4? None. No, 4 for 1 at best at this point. Pokemon doing their greatest to juke it out, and they're not quite able. In the end, everyone goes down except for Professor Oak on the side of Helpless Kitties. Jujubon getting a little bit too aggressive there.
I will give Pokemon credit there for flashing to get the Glorlance kill onto Jujubon there to at least salvage something from that. I believe if they hadn't killed Jujubon, they would have gotten that tower, so good on Pokemon there to grab that, but still, that was a 4 for 1 in favor of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure here, and that is real rough for the Helpless Kitties. They're really getting torn apart here in this game.
Yeah, we'll see if they can turn the tides a little bit. This bot lane, we expected to not do all that great, and then they dashed our expectations and then dashed them again. They've been having a lot of trouble for the past few. Pokemon getting a kill basically by being a juke lord at this point. Footloose, put on your dancing shoes, says Lulu. I don't know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They got the kill onto the aggressive AD carry just because Pokemon was able to stay alive for so long. And that's great. It really is. You shut down, at that point, a 4-0 Caitlyn. But, on the other hand, 4 people died in that fight. They're going to have a lot of trouble. That's an Infinity Edge on the Caitlyn. So we're going to see first Tower Blood being a pretty important objective in the next minute, I'd expect.
Yeah, these teams are relatively even as far as gold goes, even with the extra 3 kills, primarily because the CS advantages in top lane and the jungle. The other lanes are relatively even as far as gold, but Professor Oak is 20 CS up now on Noxian Dream because he spent so much time in that bot lane, and Dewey is about 10 CS, 15 CS up on Season 8 jungle. So we're going to see if they can use that gold advantage to try and get into other lanes, but I don't know if they can at this point. The bot lane is already pretty much lost. Caitlyn is just so far ahead of Varus. 1,200 gold just in that one matchup. That Teoni and Pokemon can't really contest this lane anymore. They were withstanding it so long, but they can't anymore.
Yeah, we'll see if Jui is able to affect any change here, but with the presence of S8 jungle and that Cloud Drake being up on the map, I don't expect them to be caught off guard by that kind of gank. So it would require something like a TP gank out of Professor Oak, but Pyranthos would be able to answer. Noxie and Dream might even be able to ult down as we see Predator being popped. Jujubon doing the best they can. The Monsoon, great disengage. Jui is in a whole lot of trouble. The hero's entrance coming in, and a hero indeed is Pyranthos. Professor Oak teleporting in, and Surtsu walks in as Jujubon gets the second kill of the fight. Surtsu going in for that 80 carry. They need to make sure Jujubon lives, but no! Great turn for Helpless Kitties, and Pyranthos trying to kite back, but not quite able yet. The taunt goes down onto Professor Oak, and they're almost able to get out. The Rupture coming down. There's a lot of trouble here for this team. S8 Jungle able to get out as Teoni chases down. 2 kills there for Helpless Kitties after they just lost such a terrible fight. Really, Jujubon needs to realize that their positioning is the entire team at this point.
Yeah, Jujubon was a little bit too far forward there, and he got killed for it. Pyranthos also died in that fight, so that ended up being some trade going on there, and there's still a 3-kill lead for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, but there's no real gold lead. It's just a couple hundred gold, and that's primarily on the Caitlyn to even out the gold lead that the other lanes of Helpless Kitties have, and I'm not sure that the repeated ganks of bot lane are really what you want to be doing right now. Because now Helpless Kitties know that this is going to happen. Now Helpless Kitties understand that Warwick's Bizarre Adventure wants to gank that bot lane over and over again and get Caitlyn even further ahead. But that's not what they need to do at this point. Caitlyn and Janna are going to be winning this lane by themselves. And that's it. That's all they need to do. They need to push in that lane, get that tower, get kills on their own. They don't need help of Pyranthos and Season 8 jungle there. Now they need to be focusing on other lanes and putting the Cho'Gath and the Vladimir behind, because Vladimir is now 3-1 up and has that pressure in the mid lane, whereas Pyranthos is 0-2 and doesn't have any sort of pressure in this lane anymore.
That's just a side effect, of course, of Pyranthos' roams in the bot lane, which were effective in getting Jujubon ahead. We just saw them take down the first brick. So that is a good effort that has been put forth. Pyranthos has put a positive spin on the map, but the problem is his bot lane now needs to do something for him. They should be rotating for the outer towers now as we see them swapping from bot lane to top. Professor Oak not going to be able to do a whole lot against Caitlyn Janna. So what will Helpless Kitties do here in order to counter this move?
I think what they need to do is they really need to focus on killing the Caitlyn and the Janna. Going off of what I said earlier, Warwick's Bizarre Adventure now needs to leave the bot lane alone to try and get their stuff, and they need to recognize that Helpless Kitties needs to recognize that Warwick's Bizarre Adventure wants to get advantages in other areas too. So they need to now focus that bot lane duo and try and get the kills there. But they're just gonna grab this tower here.
Yeah, they're going to have to move out as best they can. Exhaust going down into Jujubon. The ultimate coming out. Hero's entrance as well. Jujubon is safe for now. But what will be the result of this fight? A 3-man taunt down by Pyranthos. He's going mad. He got 1 kill. But Professor Oak responds by eating the 80 carry. Professor Oak is so tanky. Not a whole lot they can do. Surtsu getting stunned up. But meanwhile, Jui is going mad. In the back line of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, Pyranthos getting impaled. Going to fall down. Professor Oak and Jui the only ones remaining. A 2v3 here. But it looks like S8 Jungle might go down, barely surviving through that fight, and Jui is all alone. Teoni going to get the ultimate, and now he might be able to turn this fight basically by himself. Gates in a lot of trouble as Jui is running away. Teoni, you just need to land the Q. He's gonna heal for it. He's gonna get the move speed, and he's gonna get the double. Jui able to get the stun. Will he be able to get the blast plant over the wall? He does. He gets out of it. It is 3 kills, 4-2 in favor of Helpless Kitties once again. They keep somehow winning these fights.
Yep, Noxie and Dream kind of showing off a little bit there, knowing that Teoni isn't going to follow him, but Teoni turning that around, getting kills for himself is going to be really important. This Varus, I think, is going to be the linchpin of this team with the Vladimir. Vladimir and Varus are going to be able to do so much damage to the front line that is now ahead, and so we'll have to see how they can manage to transition this lead 2 kills and 2 objectives, because they have no towers in their favor right now. Bot lanes or top lane's about half, and the other lanes haven't really been hit a lot or any at all. But they are going to pick up on the side of Warwick Bizarre Adventure. They are going to pick up this dragon in return for all that.
Yeah, objective-wise, they're definitely ahead still. They only have 500 gold ahead, but they've gotten this Cloud Drake now. They have the 2-tower advantage, but they might be about to lose the Rift Herald. Dewey is on that right now. Looks like there's going to be no contest at this point. Hold on. SA Jungle might see this.
Yeah, they
Looks
will
like he's
see
gonna
it.
spot it out. That is one hell. Why? I don't think soloing the Rift Herald was the right call there.
There are other things he'd been doing this time, and now the Rift Herald's at half HP, and now it just leaves it up for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure to grab. I will point out that with all these advantages, Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is only about 1,000 gold lead, 500, something like that.
Oh, we have a fight breaking out. A little bit of CC going down. The hero's entrance going to get a knockup onto Dewey, and he falls down. Will there be a follow-up fight? It doesn't look like it. Just that one pick and the Rift Herald, and that was a potential good play, let down by the fact that only one person was trying to make it. Soloing Rift Herald is such a risky endeavor. You have to know that your team has pressure across the map, and they just didn't.
Yeah, that was Dewey kind of getting punished there for soloing the Rift Herald and kind of trying to do stuff afterwards. But I will mention that there's so much standing gold that Helpless Kitties can get with all 3 of these outer towers up, and they can really propel themselves forward here. They look like they're going to pressure the mid tower, but Javon needs to have rotated faster. He needs to be able there to wave clear. He does end up rotating over, so the tower won't go down on this wave, but they just need to protect these towers. Top lane is still pretty low, and bot lane is going to keep getting low out over time, but they need to keep applying the pressure. Helpless Kitties just kind of sitting around and hoping that Warwick's Bizarre Adventure doesn't continue their pressure. I think they feel like they're so far down in this game because they're down 2 towers, but they don't realize that they're up so much CS in the top side of the map between the top side, the jungle, and the mid lane, and even the bot lane is 20 CS up. They're relatively even on gold, only about 1,000 gold behind now with that mid tower going down, and so they don't respect that they can take their minimum amount of losses in this game and try and grab the towers to even up the gold and then even get them ahead in this game.
They could get ahead in that way, but the problem is if they can maintain the momentum. Thus far in these fights, the only problem has been that Jujevon has been dying before the fight is over. But now with the QSS pickup, with the Cloud Drake pickup, and the Janna Tailwind passive, Jujevon has not only a lot of move speed, but a way to get out of that Impale, a way to get out of the Silence, or the root from Cho'Gath and Varus respectively. He has a way to self-peel now, and he has his team to peel for him. If he can just get down the positioning, I kind of understand Helpless Kitty's frustration and their feeling of being, well, helpless. Because there's not a whole lot you can do if you can't get down that huge Caitlyn, who now has the rapid fire cannon on top of that. It's so hard to get access to that backline, and we're going to have to see Helpless Kitties adjust their strategy to try and get that to happen.
Yeah, 2 items is generally the first power spike you to carry. The first item is kind of the setup item as far as your damage goes, but what you get with your second item determines how you're going to be for the rest of the game. You see Jujevon going Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, so he wants to stay as far away in a distance as he can and do as much damage as he can from the max distance. Whereas Teone has gone with the Wit's End and Gwynsu's build, which means he's going to be going with the on-hit build and trying to get his take belting prowess online. And I'm not sure if that's the right call here. He needs to be able to stay back in these fights and not worry about needing protection, because Pokemon might not be able to be with him the whole time. And Dewey and Professor Oak are just going to try and go forward along with Surtsu, so he needs to be pretty self-sustaining. I will say that the magic resist coming out of the Wit's End is going to help a lot, but other than that, I'm not sure if that's the right build coming out of Teone here.
I almost feel as if Blade of the Ruined King might have been a better pick, and that, I know, to a lot of people sounds like a dirty word, but the enemy team has 3 very beefy characters. Pyrantheos, while he is not exactly building armor, has a lot of natural health from not only his runes, but his itemization. And Blade of the Ruined King would help with that, it would help with Noxian Dream, it would help with SA Jungle, and as you were saying, it would help with Sustain. It would give you a way to pick with a slow, and we see Eye of the Herald being broken here in the mid lane. potential bush gank, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that Eye of the Herald pop was literally just because it was about to expire. You saw the little warning coming onto SA Jungle there, realizing that, oh no, I have to pop this or I'm going to lose it. And they're going to try and usher it towards this mid lane turret. Hopefully, Helpless Kitties can do some damage to it before it gets to the tower. The eye is now open, so they can do some damage to it while it's there. So it is going to hit the tower. It isn't going to kill it, but a fight might break out here from that.
You have Jujivon staying back, doing some poking on to the enemy team, but I don't know if Surtsu was a better target than the mid lane tower there. It's not like they can necessarily easily engage on you while that Herald is up, and you're Caitlyn. Like, tower shredding is your shtick. Tristana is probably one of the only people that's better at it, and in a lot faster bursts, but now that Headshot applies to turrets, it's a lot of damage that he was missing out by attacking the mid laner. And as we're seeing, it didn't do a whole heck of a lot, because Surtsu has heals from his Q.
Yeah, Surtsu can just heal up and sustain through this. And so I do think Juj wanted to just hit the tower. It is at half health, and all the damage that he put on the Surtsu there could have been on the tower rather than the Vladimir there. Especially because he has that rapid fire cannon and was able to do so much damage. You see here, they're going to try to focus on the tower now that their Herald is dead. They could have had this about a minute ago. They needed to recognize what they can and can't do with the Rift Herald up. They assumed that the Rift Herald would just kill the tower while they were fighting the enemy team, but the enemy team was focusing the Rift Herald while they were getting poked out. So I think that was kind of a mistake. And now they're going to rotate for this Ocean Drink, and I think it's a very good call, knowing that's a free objective that's up, but Jui's going to now clear out the vision that Warwick Bizarre Adventure had onto the Baron. He does miss that one pink ward. Nope, he's going back for it. He does manage to grab that. Good job, Jui, for clearing out some vision.
Yeah, you have to take the little advantages that you can, and stopping the backs, clearing vision, both of them qualify, certainly, but the question is, now that you've gotten the small advantages, how do you translate them into big advantages? And really, the big game-changing objective that's available on the map is that Baron. But how can Helpless Kitties set it up so that they can even take that Baron?
Helpless Kitties needs to be able to get picks onto Javon. It's pretty simple at this point. I think the biggest thing right now is that Jude needs to find a flank. He's been kind of like the showing in the front and not kind of being a threat in this mid game. Where he needs to be finding a flank, going around, and trying to get Javon in the back line. I understand that Javon has a QSS on him, but if he can get a stun on Javon first and force him to QSS, and then get the Impale, that's going to be what lands the winning fight for them, and then we'll get them a Baron. The other thing is that Helpless Kitties is still only like 500 or 600 gold in a deficit right now. There are 3 outer towers still up. That mid lane tower is so low. They need to start getting this standing gold that's sitting out for them. But the wave clear coming out from Warwick Bizarre Adventure is just so strong. They can't get there in time. They can't get to the towers. They can't do any damage to them. They can't finish them off. So we have to think that Helpless Kitties are going to try and get those somewhat soon, because they just need that. But there's going to be a rotation going on to Professor Oak here. Right, Scory pops.
In a little bit of trouble. Jujivon not going to be able to peel through all that health really all that easily at all at this point. Only the Rapid Fire Cannon, Zeal, and Infinity Edge. A lot of raw damage stats, but that's also a lot of raw health on Professor Oak. Looks like they're going to go for the engage on the Pyranthos, and his team is peeling off of him. He's going to flash over the wall, but Jui looks like he might be still going for it. He should have the Predator available in a bit, but doesn't right now, so no way to really quickly engage. It looks like Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is pinging out that Baron. They know what they want, and they're going to try and go for it. As Noxian Dreams looks like they're going to get caught out here, but Jui instead is just going to... Oh, that was optimistic, I think, Jujivon.
Yeah, at best, I would say.
Oops,
Ooh, the ult coming out.
Sione in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to survive. Jujivon not as lucky. It might be the case. No, Jujivon barely alive. ADC versus ADC. They're both going to take each other out. Now what remains is a 4v4. Whose team is stronger at this point? The taunt going to go down onto 3. Pyranthos getting melted, but not before Professor Oak goes down. Pyranthos finally going to die. S8 jungle kiting back a little bit. Noxian Dream, a tiny bit of trouble. Surtsu a lot more damage here than the remaining members of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, and they recognize that and back out.
I will say that the AD carries traded there. And that was an advantage for Helpless Kitties, primarily because their mid laner does damage where Paranthos does not. Paranthos is in an odd spot on Galio right now where he doesn't do damage and also isn't tanky enough to survive in these fights. He needs to get another item or two before he can do both well. And that's where they're at right now, and Surtsu is able to turn the fight in their favor after the AD carries trade their lives. I will say that was probably a mistake on Teoni there to try and 1v1 Javon. He knew he was going to go down, but they finally get this tower, and they are still just barely at a deficit here in Iberia. They just need to find more gold on the map. They need to get more advantages where they didn't have any before. And grabbing that mid tower is going to open up a lot for them, so I'm glad they got that. But, man, they need to get more. They needed to take advantage of the time that they have, and they're not doing that very well.
And to be fair, they're trying a little bit, but the problem is this. That fight entirely off the back of Jujevon's mistake, as have been a few of them. And it's not saying that Jujevon is this terrible player or anything. It's just when all the eggs are in one basket, if you're that basket, you better hope you don't get dropped on your head. And that's what's been happening in every single one of these fights. Jujevon's like, it's okay. I don't need flash. I'm just an AD carry. No, you're 7-4. You have most of the gold for your team. You have the highest gold value on your team by nearly 3,500. You're so important to these team fights. You cannot afford to make those positioning errors. And in Helpless Kitties' praise, they've been able to capitalize on that. They've been like, oh, Jujevon burned flash. Right, he's mostly dead. And Teoni's like, well, I have the capability to kill him. He can't get away from me. So I'm going to go for that 1-for-1 trade. And that basically won the last fight for them. If Jujevon adjusts, however, or his team just makes it so he can't make a mistake before the fight is over, I do worry about Helpless Kitties a little bit as we see the taunt coming out. Speaking of picks, Pyranthos in a little bit of trouble there because of his bad positioning. Jui not going to fall down just yet. The ultimate coming in from Noxian Dream. He's entering this fight as madly as possible, but the AoE damage from Tayuni is so huge, as is Surtsu. 2 kills so far. The AD carry and the mid laner are down. There is no damage available for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, and it looks like Helpless Kitties is going to get that Baron that they've been looking for so long. Like you said, it just takes one thing, and that one thing, as ever this game, has been a positional disadvantage. Pyranthos getting caught out.
I'm not sure if they can really commit to it, though, considering SA Jungle is still up, and he has that smite available. He can just go in and try and steal it, but Surtsu is likely just going to zone him off from it. Surtsu is still up and able to do damage, but he's going in. Feast grabs it.
Dream, a little bit of trouble here, not able to get the slow down. The Monsoon going to save a little bit of time, but Noxian Dream is certainly going to die at this point. I don't see a way he can get out of it. The passive is procced. It's now Baron on 5. For Helpless Kitties. Let's see what they can do with this.
There it is. Finally, Helpless Kitties have a gold lead. They got a couple kills, they got the Baron, and that just propels them forward. They got what they need as far as gold goes and as far as an advantage goes. And so we need to see if they can manage to use that advantage. That bot lane turret's real low. They're going to try and go for this dragon, it looks like, with Professor Oak and Pokemon there. It looks like they're going to check it and see if Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is on it, but Professor Oak is so tanky at this point. And they're just going to try and fight over this. Jui is still in base, though, whereas SA Jungle is about a quarter of the way there and almost half now. So I don't think they're going to fight over it too much, although Professor Oak has started up now. He does have his feast up, so that's really not much of a contest that either team can do at this point.
Yeah, they're going to fairly easily get this second Ocean Drake that spawned on the map this time for their team, evening out the sustained advantage. Nope, they're peeling off of it. Ugh. Oh, Professor Oak going to get stunned up here. He doesn't think he can fight this, but he's going to anyway. Surtsu flashes in with a huge ultimate, and Juyeon is in trouble so far. Professor Oak barely alive at this point, but it doesn't matter. The only damage threat for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure has been taken down, so the rest of this fight is just easy street for Helpless Kitties as it trades 1 for none so far. Sorry, 2 for none. Oh, it might be more. The Impale going down there. Pyranthos trying to get the hero's entrance to save his jungler, but will it be enough? It's in the back lane getting popped there by Surtsu's Q. Not able to get the last one, but that is now 3 for none in that trade. Baron on the rest of Helpless Kitties. I don't know why Professor Oak is backing there. That wave would be great to support.
Yeah, I think they should just stay and grab that tower real quick. They have a small minion wave, but that's plenty to take the tower at this point. That tower is so low, and that mini wave is going to be able to do it by itself. And that's a problem. But it looks like they're just going to try and rush down the mid lane. That's where they have the advantage already. So I can understand why they want to just go straight mid and do that. Now they have a 7,000 gold lead. This game is broken wide open for Helpless Kitties at this point. They withstood the early game, they withstood the mid game, and now this is getting to the latter part of the mid game where they're going to have the advantage over Jujavon. We saw Jujavon get caught and mispositioned 6 times in this game. That is another turret going down, 7,000 gold now in the lead, 7,500 I guess. For them, Jujavon, you need to stop getting caught, my dude. Like, you just need to position it back in fights, be with your team, and have your tanks protect you. Call for peel, because you can't do it by yourself with just a QSS. You have a Janna, you have a Galio, you have a Scion. Scion is going to go forward and distract the enemy, but Sejuani can protect you, and so can everyone else on the rest of the team. You're the only damage source for your team. You need to have that back line and that front line to protect you. And I feel like that's just part of the team communication not going very well there, not recognizing that Jujavon is your only source of damage. If he dies, you're out of the fight, period. You might pick up like 1 kill after that, just because you do have base damages, but you're not going to be able to do much after that. Teoni and Surtsu are just doing too much damage. Even Professor Oak, with that feast, is going to be doing a lot of damage.
Speaking of Professor Oak, he might be caught out here. Gotta catch them all indeed. Professor having a little bit of trouble. Gonna try and take down the tower. He gets it, but possibly at the cost of his own life. The slow from Righteous Glory, don't think it's gonna be enough. But Teoni is there to save his top laner, and the feast comes out. The kill goes down. S8 Jungle in a lot of trouble, getting impaled back, getting pulled, getting pushed, becoming pulled for.
And at this point, Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is just at a loss as what to do. They realize that they're super far behind in this game at this point. They are now 9,000 gold in a deficit, but they don't know how to get out of it. They just give up 2 picks. They try and to kill Professor Oak, but he just so tanky taking down that tower. And like I said, this is now a 10,000 gold lead. This is now an advantage for the Helpless Kitty. Sorry. And they're going to try to focus down this bot lane tower too. The damage coming out of Teoni and Surtsu just proving to be superior to that of Jujavon's in the late game.
Yeah, and just speaking of that combo, Teoni especially, at least in my mind, has been playing these fights with what I'd say subdued brilliance, which is just way too fancy a term for what it is, but really he's just been playing back, he's been playing safe, he's been playing smart. Oh no. Speaking of playing smart, that was not the best way to check that bush.
Yeah, and that entire time the blast gun was there and he could have hit it, but he just didn't. It might have been that he tried to click on it and then he was on lock screen, so it moved the screen around a little bit, so he wasn't able to get it. But yeah, he just kind of dies for free there. But Helpless Kitties aren't going to push their advantage even more. They do need to just back and lick their wounds a little bit and use this gold they just got, because they got that mid tower and they got that 2 bot towers, so they have a lot of gold in their pockets and they need to use that. Teoni specifically has almost 2,000 gold in his pocket, so yeah, it's going to be hard for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure to really come back in this game now, considering they're at 10,000 gold in the lead. It felt like for so long they were holding on to that marginal lead until about 30 minutes into the game. They had about 500, almost 1,000 gold lead sometimes. And they were just holding on to that with their early and mid-game pressure. But now that the late game has come, they're just at a loss. They don't know what to do, especially when Jujavon gets caught. He is now 7-6. There are at least 5 of those times where those are just mispositioning on his part. And he could have survived, but he didn't. Just because he was too far forward or too far off to the side, didn't survive. And now the rest of his team doesn't have damage after that. And that's the unfortunate part of a one-dimensional team comp like this, is if that one person just happens to not be performing that day, you're at a loss. You just don't win the game.
I mean, that's exactly why Team CLG's old strategy of protect the double lift only had so much of a success rate. There's only so much you can do, and if that one person happens to mess up or happens to get caught out of position, you don't have anything left. And this is why I wanted to highlight Teoni's play, because no, he hasn't been doing anything particularly flashy. Like, the most flashy thing I can say he's done is when he
Is
literally
this?
flashed into fight. Oh, the Impale Flash coming down. The hero's entrance not going to be enough. Oh, maybe it will, saving the support. But the Impale is now down. Maybe there's a chance for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure as the support gets popped. The ultimate goes down onto so many. The 80 carries are both still alive at this point. Jujayavan doing his best to poke out, but he gets flashed on and killed. The rest of the team fight is now going to go in favor of Helpless Kitties. They take down one. There's only one left. S8 Jungle going to be able to get away because the only one chasing is Jewy. It is a 4-4-none fight in favor of Helpless Kitties. Doing such a great job of keeping those damage dealers alive and taking out those of the opponent. It's really that simple.
Yeah, Sertsu was able to get on the back line through a flank and was able to get kills, get the CC, get the damage, and do things in the back line. And they're just going to take the game after this. It's a good late game comp coming out of Helpless Kitties here and really showing that they aren't as helpless as their name implies.
Yeah, their early game, not the best, but they were doing such a great job in the late, early mid. Such a great combination of phrases that confuse everyone. But they were doing great at keeping the lead small, and then they finally recovered it, and they recovered it so well that they became this monstrosity and won the game.
They sure did. They got that, and they got that win under the belt. Now, this is a best-of-2 series, so Warwick's Bizarre Adventure does have a chance to tie it up and really, really prove that they are capable of withstanding the Helpless Kittens, but we'll have to see how they do that in Game 2. I want to see them adjust their pick and bans for Game 2 and try and adapt what they learned from that game and their play style into Game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a better use of farm would be a good thing for them to pick up because they had the lead in objectives, they had the lead in tempo, but they were just still behind on farm in every lane. And I think that caused the lack of gold differential, which allowed Helpless Kitties to get back into the game. We'll see if they can fix those things up a little bit in Game 2. Stick around.
The air is thinner as we climb. We've only got one destination. Touch the clouds and gravity's edge, and the rest is our momentum. Does it matter if I can't breathe out there? I've got memories of where we began, and you would follow my silhouette that grows bigger towards the sun. I can see your darkened eyes, and you are still hiding your smile. Take my dismay, throw it away. When you reach me, help find the way. Look out for slopes, down the telescope. And when you reach me, I'll let you stay. How many times do we have to write our names in the sand so they don't wash away? How many times do we leave our mark? I've been worried if you'll be okay. I can travel the world in an instant, even though there's a fear of the distance. But for you, I know I'll stay right here. And I can see your darkened eyes, and you are still hiding your smile. Take my dismay, throw it away. When you reach me, help find the way. Look out for slopes, down the telescope. And when you reach me, I'll let you stay. I don't want to miss you when you're sailing by. Please tell me you're on the way. I don't want to miss you once I've waved goodbye. So when you reach me, tell me you'll stay.
Just like you. I can tell you what I never ever said to her. But I can never love, no, I can never love. I can do the things she wants and things I did with her. But I can never love, no, I can never love. But she can find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. But she can find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. You're a treasure in the sea, an adventure that I need. You're a treasure in the sea, an adventure that I need. You're a treasure in the sea, an adventure that I need. You're a treasure in the sea, an adventure that I need. I can tell you what I never ever said to her, but I can never love, no, I can never love. I can do the things she wants and things I did with her, but I can never love, no, I can never love. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you. Wish you could find that someone, find that someone, find that someone. Someone just like you, just like you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are now here in Champion Select for Game 2 between Helpless Kitties and Warwick's Bizarre Adventure. It is Week 2, Show Match 2 of EU for... Sorry, actually Week 1 of Learning 5. It's like coming up with our own hash code to embed information. It's like, eventually, no one will be able to interpret it, and then we'll be good. But yeah, first game, we saw Helpless Kitties, now on the blue side, do a great job of living through a bumpy early game to come ahead in the late game with a huge lead, blowing open the game after their first Baron fight. We're going to hopefully see Warwick's Bizarre Adventure try and do something to mitigate that, increase their lead early, or just position better, have more threats, do something in Champ Select.
We saw last game the Helpless Kittens weren't really so helpless after all. Professor Oak gonna grab up the Aurelia, the new reworked Aurelia. I'm excited to see this in action. I haven't yet seen it. I mean, I've seen it in like my normals games, but you know how those go in Iberia. Shen picked up as the lane opponent here, and I'd have to imagine with what I've seen of Aurelia, I would imagine Shen would do fairly okay into it. He can just kind of withstand what Aurelia wants to do, and especially if he gets some armor. Because Aurelia is primarily physical damage. So Skarner picked up as the opponent to Trundle here. Trundle was the, if I remember correctly, yes, it was the third pick for Red side, so it was in the second round of picks before the ban phase. So Skarner was not available, if I remember correctly, because the big bang tool we have here shows that Skarner was picked up first. But Sejuani was available and he decided to go for Trundle instead. But in the mid lane we have Aurelion Sol versus Orianna. Aurelion Sol hasn't been seen in quite some time. I'm kind of glad we're seeing it here with Aurelia as well, because we have Aurelia and Aurelion Sol, and that's going to be pretty fun for you to say.
Oh yeah, that'll be a blast.
It will be, but we have Orianna as Aurelion Sol's lane opponent, and history tells us that Orianna is fairly good into Aurelion Sol. Oh, I just realized we have Aurelia, Aurelion Sol, and Orianna.
Oh goodness.
Oh boy, this is going to be a fun game for you. And so we see that Orianna is going to do fairly well, is going to take heal as well. I will mention that Pokemon has picked Janna, and Rakan was available in the draft, and they picked up Janna over Rakan, so they must put higher priority on these like disengage Poke style supports rather than the engage frontline supports. And they first picked Xayah as well, so they could have very easily gone for that really high synergy bot lane, but they just chose not to. And on the enemy side, we have a Twitch and a Taric. That's a little bit different than what we had in the last game. Last game they had to sit back and poke and do a little bit of damage with the Caitlyn. It kind of got caught out a little bit. The problem that I'm going to see with Twitch is if Jujavon continues to misplay and misposition, it's going to be even harder for him to try and carry this game, considering Twitch has zero ways to escape other than having a flash up.
Absolutely, but it is worth noting that one of the problems last game was not necessarily that Jujavon was just straight up getting caught before the fight started, although that did happen quite a few times, but more that in the chaos of the team fight was not able to find a good way to position safely. And with the added safety of the Taric ultimate, as well as Twitch's unique positional opportunities, such as flanking with the ultimate that gives him such huge range, or even opening up from far in the backline, I don't know if that'll help mitigate some of the positioning errors we saw last game. I suspect that was some of the hopes there, and I think it'll do a little bit better because he not only has the Orianna shield, the Taric ultimate, but the Shen shield, the Taric shield as well. Trundle, I mean, he can just pillar things, so he doesn't really help in that regard, but it is a lot of defense this time for Jujavon instead of just a bunch of engages.
Yeah, it's very true, and I will say that the damage coming out from Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is two threats with the Orianna and Twitch. Last game they only had the one Caitlyn, so I think it's going to be better for them in general. But they are going against a fairly strong AoE comp with the Aurelion Sol and Xayah. The Aurelia even has a lot of AoE now with that updated ultimate, and so we'll see how proficient Professor Oak is on this new Aurelia. I know a lot of people don't have a whole lot of practice on it or even against it at this point, even though it's been out for about a week and a half. So we'll have to see how Noxie and Dream plays against this. It'll be pretty important because Aurelia is known to take over games with her old kit. She is able to just get on carries and kill them, and I'm not sure that's still the case anymore. She's still a good carry killer. She was known for most of her life as the go-to. You want to kill carries? This is the champion you pick. Here you go. Have Aurelia. She's gonna kill carries for you. Congratulations. And now I'm not sure that's the case anymore. She just seems to be a good scrappy brawler with a large AoE CC and a line. It's hard to hit, but if Professor Oak can do it, I think he can turn around these fights fairly handily for himself.
Yeah, and we did see him last game pretty effective with the Cho'Gath Rupture as well as the Feral Scream, so maybe he'll be able to do it. But I think what's worth noting here is that Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is going to have a very unique positional disadvantage. And by that, I mean there's so many things on the map from the opponents that they need to pay attention to in these team fights. Zaya Feathers, Aurelion Soul Stars, Skarner Shrines, Skarner himself, Aurelia's E positioning, her ultimate positioning. There's a lot of things they need to watch out for. And with Jujubon's issues positioning in the last game, we'll have to see if that overtakes the adjustments they've made to keep him safe. But for now, we're going to kick it back to some music and a waiting screen. Come into game with a few seconds in us for Game 2 of the show match between Warwick's Bizarre Adventure and Helpless Kitties. Stick around.
Now I finally realize it's what keeps me in line. No, I don't mind. No, I don't mind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are now here in Game 2 between Helpless Kitties and Warwick's Bizarre Adventure. I'm still Nibiria, I'm still joined by Penguin God, and these are still the same rosters as last game. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the rune choices here, because it had a large effect in the bot lane in the last game. We see Jujubon once again taking the press the attack versus Tayane's fleet footwork, and I really disagree with this, especially considering what happened last game because of the lack of sustain in the lane.
Yeah, Javon really needs to consider taking that fleet footwork, and if he doesn't, I think he needs to consider taking the relic shield at that point, especially in a lane where he's likely going to get poked out. He seems like he's just kind of on AD carry autopilot, where he takes the typical AD carry rune and press the attack. He takes the typical AD carry start build with the Doran's blade and the health potion, and he just kind of does his typical AD carry things, but then mispositions and dies for it because he's not respecting what the opponent is going to be, or what the opponent is going to be bringing to the table. So I think he needs to consider what he's doing, or his coach needs to let him know, hey, you got to consider this, that, and the other thing when you're picking and playing your champion. But we'll see here if Dewey considers starting with the Raptors again, or if he wants the leash from his bot lane on his red buff. Looks like he's going for his red.
I would suspect, based on last game, he's going to start red.
Yeah, he didn't do so well taking the Raptors first.
No, and especially with the machete instead of talisman, that's just not going to go all that well for you. But back on the subject of Jujubon, I think one of the things you have to consider, especially with runes, is that while they are sort of personalized, that's kind of a double-edged sword. Because it's like, yeah, I like to press the attack damage more. Okay, fine. But last game you had Caitlyn, Janna, into Varus, Lulu. You should have been poking them out. You were losing the lane early until you had help from 4 members of your team. So maybe it's not ideal to stick with what was working just because it worked for a little bit. Because it did turn, to be fair. And the press the attack damage did come in pretty handily in some of those bot lane skirmishes in which he got the first blood and the second kill, but not really worth the lack of sustain. And we're seeing already they're getting poked out a little bit. Not hugely, but these numbers add up pretty quickly.
The thing about bot lane is you don't always want to itemize and take rune choices for the lane, because the lane doesn't last forever. The lane isn't the only thing in the game, and you're not entirely reliant on that. Yes, the lane is very important, and if you get behind it, it can be harder to do things in the mid and late game, but eventually, and I'm talking like very, very long run, you will get to the late game, and you will have the same number of items, the same effective gold that the enemy AD carry has. So itemizing and taking rune choices solely for the lane to hope you get out of lane with a large enough lead, you can carry the game, is heavily reliant on you playing very well in the mid and late game. And that's something that we did not see out of Javon in the last game, so he needs to up his game in this game for sure, or he's just going to find another loss in his book.
And so far, we're seeing a slightly similar lane phase to last game for this bot lane. Jujavon and Gatesa were pushing in, and Tainai and Pokemon were just kind of chilling. But then the fight started happening, and then the ganks came out, and then the CS lead started coming in for Tainai. So we're going to have to see if that pattern continues, because obviously the goal here for the entirety of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is to prevent that from happening again, because that really was the decider for the game.
They were able to keep up that marginal lead for most of the game, but they weren't able to transition that into anything more than they already had. They were able to keep that small lead. They weren't able to put it into anything else. They weren't able to get anything extra. They were just that little bit ahead, and their CS was the major key there. Ooh, Noxian Dream getting real low here.
Can we just sit for a second and admire those animations on Aurelia? Dear God, those are smooth.
Yeah, they are real smooth, and they're really fun to watch. They just aren't as fun to play against, from what I hear. They all those smooth things do a lot of damage to you, so I can imagine it's pretty frustrating for Noxian Dream at this point.
Absolutely, and despite the fact that he has that Spirit's Refuge to stop the auto attack damage. Oh, Noxian Dream in a lot of trouble here. The gank going to come in from S8 Jungle to try and stop this. Spirit's Refuge, as we were just talking about, able to stop a lot of the damage, but Professor Oak is going to go in. Might be able to get the kill. No! It's S8 Jungle that gets it, thanks to Press the Attack. That was
barely.
so close.
Just barely getting the kill. Press the Attack was the only reason he got the kill there. I think if he'd taken any other rune, he wouldn't have gotten the kill. I'm not sure. Maybe Fleet Footwork, but like Jungle doesn't really take Fleet Footwork. So Press the Attack was a good choice. Good job, S8 Jungle, on getting the kill there. But you see Professor Oak teleporting under the tower, and Teoni gonna get engaged on here.
A little bit of a scrap there. Teoni taking the bat into that trade, but has a little bit of sustain there with Fleet Footwork, and the Predator is going to be popped there. Jui not able to get the stun, however, because Jujavon did flash, but that's a flash down for the bot lane here on the side of Helpless Kitties. Sorry, Warwick's Bizarre Adventure. That's a very bad thing to confuse.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. It should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. Teoni, though, is at about half HP in this lane. But I think their overall health lead is pretty good. He did take a little bit of damage there, but the shield coming out for Pokemon's going to do well for him. Sertsu is pretty even in this lane, although Pranthos is a little bit of CS up. Ooh, S8 Jungle meeting Jui here.
Yeah, I'm not sure that even fighting a little bit was necessarily worth it there for S8 Jungle, because Skarner had the Spire right there. And
yeah,
there's no chance he's going to fight outside of it. And he was dragging him into it, and S8 Jungle realized that eventually and was just like, oh, I guess I should stop. But by that point, he'd already lost a lot of freaking health. Not that it matters, as we see now. And he's trying to invade this red buff. Looks like it'll be successful. No one's coming up for it. So at least he got something off of it.
Yeah, he got something. That's a pretty big something that he's getting. Early red buff takes are really important, considering it provides a health regen and the burn. And he's going to notice that Skarner is there too and get over the wall. And I don't think Jui saw him there at all, so they're not going to know exactly when he took that. They can kind of infer that it was pretty recently, considering they just saw him there. But now he just goes over and grabs his blue, and he's likely going to go grab his red directly after. So that's a good steal of a buff on the side of S8 Jungle. But Jui he just ran through mid lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, SC Jungle will just go over there and kill him at this point, to be honest.
And it looks like he's about to.
Yeah.
That was questionable pathing there from Dewey, because one of the big things about jungle pathing is you want to keep as much information away from the enemy jungler as possible. And the information Dewey is giving right now is, I have the Spire, I have my top lane, and you have very low health. The Stand United not going to be enough to save him. Doesn't even complete at this point. But that's one cooldown down, flash from Professor Oak, and not a whole lot else to kill S8 jungle.
Yeah, that was a good kill into S8 jungle, and now Dewey's gonna get that red buff. I forgot that top laners can roam, and yeah, that's just me being bad at macro play. There we go. I'm a color caster. Welcome.
Oh, the shockwave gonna go down in 2 fights simultaneously across the map. The mid and top lane. Professor Oak gonna do a whole lot of damage here in the top lane. Noxian Dream pretty low. The Q gonna take him out. Professor Oak not gonna eat a tower shot, or maybe he is, but not gonna kill him. Barely surviving there. Mid lane blew a lot from Surtsu. Only cost him a flash, realistically. So he's gonna pick up that catalyst, come back to lane. Pretty much no worse for the wear, but Professor Oak is now 2-0 with a huge CS lead and double buffs.
Yeah, this is pretty bad for Noxian Dream at this point. This Rally can probably take over the game at this point. This will be the
It's
first
about to
time.
get a whole lot worse. Professor Oak coming down to try and stop this. The Impale goes down. The stun follow-up from Aurelia. Professor Oak going to get the 3rd kill of the game with just a Sheen and a Corrupting Pot.
Yeah, this Aurelia is going to be super fed. Likely going to have enough to get most of a Triforce, if not all of it at this point. He does have 2,200 gold in his pocket. I'm not sure if that's quite enough, because he has the 2 more expensive pieces of the Triforce to build. But he is likely just going to build those 2 pieces, and then come back to lane, and maybe even go with something else. But Aurelian Soul is going to go bot lane.
Cersei with a great gank. The Taric ultimate gonna come out, keeping them invulnerable. Jujavan barely surviving at this point, but he's not going to for long. The Taric ult finally falls out. Gatesa not able to save his AD carry, and we're seeing the reverse of last game's gank spot. Every time it would be a great fight for Helpless Kitties for just a second, and then the ganks would come out and they'd be dead. But this time, Warwick's Bizarre Adventure is on the receiving end, and it's not a good look for them so far.
No, it's not. Last game it was Warwick's Bizarre Adventure taking those proactive plays in this early game, but it looks like Helpless Kittens is not so helpless anymore. They're gonna get these ganks going. Professor Oak has so much damage. Professor Oak smartly, he realized that he couldn't get the what is it now, the Stinger, yes, thank you. He didn't have enough gold for the Stinger, so he smartly buys that Cloth Armor to resist Noxian Dream even more. Oh, but Engage going on bot lane.
That was an unfortunate pillar. Pokemon being chased down by S8 jungle, but it's not going to be enough. Tayani barely surviving thanks to the Janna shield. Pokemon so selflessly saving the AD carry instead of himself. Looks like the root is going to come out from Tayani, and Gatesa is going to die for it. Great turn there from the bot lane of Helpless Kitties. Pokemon taking the selfless choice, ending up getting his AD carry a 2nd kill so far.
Yeah, that's 2 kills onto the Xayah, 3 kills onto the Aurelia, and that is a worthwhile trade for the support at this point. When you're a support player, you always are happy to trade your life for your AD carries. That's always how it's going to be, always how it's been. Oh, but Pranthus engaged on.
Having to blow heal so far. The Impale coming out, the Shockwave going down. Pyranthos surviving for a while, but it's deceptive because he's no way going to get out of that. Noxian Dream barely surviving the engage from Professor Oak under tower. This is not going to go well.
No, it's
Professor
not.
Oak able to get a kill. Dristoff 1. Oh,
Rampage.
great ult to guarantee the proc, and able to get that Blade Surge on to Noxian Dream. 0-2 now for that Shen. 4-1-0 is the Aurelia. Almost 50 CS up. A Cloud Drake up. 2 towers up for his team. This game is just... It's the same
spiraling
as
out
the
of
last
control.
game, except the game was broken open 20 minutes soon.
Yeah, it's almost like the early game advantage has never happened. It's like we're watching this game starting at 30 minutes last game. This is the advantages coming out for Helpless Kitties. They already have a tower on the bottom lane. They have a tower on the top lane. They didn't get a tower last game until like at least 25 minutes into the game last game. They are now 5,000 golden lead. And this, I'm considering this might be a mentality thing where all of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure are upset that they threw that last game. They aren't mentally prepared for this game. They just kind of are playing it to play it, and they're not playing to their best their best at this point. SA Jungle is the only one with kills on their team, the only one even somewhat in this game. The rest of the team are just down in the dumps at this point. Even Tarek only has 15 CS with that 3-hit passive on the Targons at this point. They're not doing so well.
They're not, and the thing is, they are trying to make some plays across the map. We saw an almost 4-man fight down onto the bot lane, but Tani and Pokemon had a great ward there to prevent that. They decided to not go after it, but these fights are just not going well for them. The root going down onto Gatesa, he's already so low. Professor Oak might be getting caught out here. This might be the advantage that Warwick's Bizarre Adventure has been looking for, but no, the stun goes down onto S8 Jungle. Professor Oak should be able to get out alive. They might still want to fight this. It looks like they do. S8 Jungle gonna get ulted there. He gets taken down. Pyranthos has the Predator move speed buff from Jui, but it doesn't matter. The double kill going down for Professor Oak. He is so massive. Jui having to waste that Predator, unfortunately for him, but it doesn't matter. His top laner is so big that he's just not needed in that fight.
That was a double kill. Now it's a 61 and really with Triforce already completed, likely going for a Sterex Gauge next, I would assume. Make it even harder for the enemy to kill him. He's already does so much damage that it's impossible. Oh, guy's getting down.
Impale's going to be enough to take Jujubon out of the turret. 2 for none in that 3-man gank in the bot lane. Oh no, Noxian Dream might fall down in the mid as well. He does. Professor Oak, 7-1 now. Jui, 2-0-3. Tani, 3-0-1. Surtsu, more supportive than the actual support at this point. Well, close. 0-0-5, but he's putting out enough. And, oh, that was dirty.
What? Professor Oak, why are you there, buddy? That was just absolute disrespect from Professor Oak there. Not giving any respect over to the shockwave that Paranthos is going to bring in there. Giving over a kill and shut down gold to the team. I'm not sure if that was really necessary, Professor Oak. You didn't need to kill yourself for that tower there. He might have lagged there, I don't know. But I just don't think he needed to be there if he wasn't lagging.
No, and it's a slight gold lead at best. Realistically, in the grand scheme of things, thus far in the game, it doesn't really matter all that much. It's 450 global gold for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, but they're down 7k. So while it's a decent amount, it's not huge. Granted, he shouldn't have been there.
Yep.
This may be the start of a comeback, but at this point, I really don't think so.
Yeah,
They're
when
in
an
so much
Aurelia
trouble.
when an Aurelia is ahead, she just takes over games, and there's a little you can do about it. I will point out this is a 6,000, almost 7,000 gold lead at 15 minutes in the game. This is absolutely massive. This is like a full item ahead on like most carries. Even mid lane has tier 2 boots over the enemy. Like it's stunning. Like, and Professor is gonna get engaged on though.
1v2 in the top lane, the ultimate going down, a lot of procs going down. He will be able to get Qs on them, but not going to be able to get out no matter what. Finally, getting something done, the 3rd kill down onto Professor Oak, 2 in a row. Not going too great for him so far. And it's not as if Helpless Kitties has an uncontestable lead at this point by any means, because Warwick's Bizarre Adventure does scale fairly well, especially with supporting that hyper carry Twitch. There's the possibility that they come back, and if Professor Oak continues to get caught out, that possibility gets stronger and stronger. But scaling is no slouch for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure as well.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Helpless Kitties.
Yeah, both of these teams have a lot of scaling. Really does really well in the late game. So does Reliant Soul and Zaya.
Oh, Impale going down, S8 Jungle. Stand United coming out as well. Will he get the Shadow Dash onto 2? He will, but he's the only one there in this fight. Noxian Dream in a lot of trouble. Gates are trying to save his top laner. He's able to so far. Looks like they're going to disengage the fight at this point and just clear the wave.
Yeah, and while Professor Oak was loudly getting 7 kills in the top and mid side, Teone was just casually grabbing 4 kills for himself and not dying at all in the bot lane. He's super far ahead of his lane opponent, 40 CS up, 4 kills, and an assist. He's just so far ahead at this point. He's still got that feather call and able to do pretty much whatever he wants in this game. It's 13 kills to 4 at this point, and 8,000 gold. I'm not sure Warwick's Bizarre Adventure has a direct path into this game. They just have to hope that members of Helpless Kitties kind of get themselves caught out and throw their lead a little bit, and so they may be an advantage. Oh no. Goodbye. Goodbye, Paranthos, dude. He was done so.
Uh-oh. Engaged down onto Teoni, but the ultimate from Xayah gonna be able to keep him alive with that invuln frame. And Teoni's in a lot of trouble, now being flashed on by the Shen as Gatesy gets chased down in the bot lane. Looks like Teoni did make it out so far. Noxian Dream not gonna be able to take him out. Poison stacks not enough to kill him. Barely surviving.
Teoni almost died to the pathing around the dead turret there, if you notice that. It was kind of funny to watch, but Teoni does grab the red buff. He will be alright here. And he will survive, not getting another kill over, whereas Geisy dies in the bot lane. A lot of this farm at the top lane is going to go over to Javon here, which is going to be good for him. He needs to be able to contest the Xayah, where Xayah's at 2 full items and he hasn't even completed 1 yet. This is real scary, considering the only completed items on Warwick's Bizarre Adventure side is the jungle item for Season 8 jungle. I guess it's a completed item. And then Paranthos is Luden's Echo, and that's it. And Paranthos is actually ahead in CS, just slightly over Surtsu, so I can see that, but there's no other completed items except for the support item on Geitzi at this point. And that does not bode well for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure, considering some of these people are sitting on 2 items, almost 2.5 at this point.
Absolutely, and they do have a chance to get back in this game, but the problem with that is that it's probably going to be dependent on the Twitch scaling up. Jujubon's going to need at least 2 items so that when he opens up with an ultimate, it actually does something. It does significant damage. Meanwhile, part of the gank in the bot, or mid lane, is going to get impaled. Stan United going to come out, going to try for the Shadow Dash taunt onto 2. He lands it, and Pokemon is in a lot of trouble. The fight has been turned in favor of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure at this point. Jui trying to get out as best he can. Startu putting down a little bit of poke with those Aurelion Soul Stars. Going to be enough to save his jungler for now. Noxian Dream diving the tower. Not going to get a whole lot off of it, however. 5 men in the mid lane right now for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure. They're going to look for the tower. But it might be a fight. Professor Oak coming in with the Q. He's going to get the stun onto SA Jungle and onto Jujubon. Jujubon going to ult up, try the best he can as the Taric ult comes down. He's got the invuln, but can he get a kill off of it? He can't. The flash comes out from Professor Oak and the Q. Noxian Dream falls down as well. There are 2 remaining in this fight. 3. Nope. They're not going to be able to get a 3rd kill. 2 kills now. 4 Helpless Kitties in that fight. They're not going to turn on the Baron just yet. They don't think they have enough health, but that was so close to being a great fight. The ultimates were used well. Jujubon just didn't put out enough damage, and neither did Paranthos.
No, I will point out, though, that was a trade of a kill for Pokemon's life. And they kind of started that engage without any of their extremely fed members. Tyoni, sorry, my mind just stopped working. Tyoni was not there, and neither was Professor Oak during that engage. It was just Jui, Surtsu, and Pokemon at that point. And so they didn't have their major damage dealers, and so Paranthos was able to survive, and they got a return kill, but then they chased a little bit too hard for the other kills. They weren't able to grab up any more kills other than that, and then they got turned on by Professor Oak and Teoni. And so you saw 2 kills going over, 2 more going over to Helpless Kittens.
If they're looking to clear out the vision on the Baron, I think they're going to try and start it here. This might be a chance for Warwick's Bizarre Adventure to get back into this game. If they see this coming, if they get maybe a shockwave into the pit, followed up by the ultimate from Jujubon, which is available in a few seconds. It just popped up. They look like they think they know about it, but they're not quite ready to engage, and instead the Baron's just going to go down. Not a great turn. If they had seen that, it would have been great. Good shockwave on 2, but it's not going to be enough as Professor Oak is going wild in the backline of Warwick's Bizarre Adventure. He gets the kill onto the AD carry. He gets the kill onto the support. Noxian Dream, the only one still in the middle of the enemy team here, going to get taken out as well. 4 kills so far for Helpless Kitties, and that looks like it'll be the end of the fight, but it will not be the end of the push as they go in for this mid-inner tower.
They could very likely get the inhib off of that. That was, what, 4 kills for None and the Baron? I feel like Warwick's Bizarre Adventure could have grabbed that mid lane turret and not contested that Baron. There was no way they were going to win a 5v5 fight. and they knew that most members or all members were there, so they should not have gone for that. They should have just pushed mid, grabbed the tower, gotten something for themselves, because there's no way they were gonna win a fight at that point. They might. Oh, we're gonna rotate bot lane. Good job. Good job seeing that bot lane wave.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to get the win here, but the stun goes down onto Pyranthos, and Professor Oak bit off a little bit more than he can chew, but Jujivon as well in a lot of trouble, is able to get it before falling down, but he is so low at this point. Looks like Teoni might be going for a fight here, gets the root onto Gatesa, the ultimate comes down, but doesn't do anything for him. He gets it onto his top laner, and Surtsu going to get dove on here. S8 Jungle trying to go wild on the 80 carry, but he will still survive at this point. S8 Jungle in a lot of trouble, as is Noxian Dream. The tower has gone down for the Nexus. The shockwave onto 2. That might be what they needed to save it, but no. Pyranthos has gone down. It is up to Jujivon to win this game for his team. He and his top laner are the only ones left. If he gets the kill, he might be able to stop the damage. He just has to kill 2 more, but there are so many minions in the base with that Baron buff. I don't know if he'll be able to do it. Jujivon is so low. He gets 1 kill. Is he able to get 2? He does get the 2nd kill, but the Nexus is so low, it gets taken out. Helpless Kitties able to stall for long enough that the Nexus is taken out by the minions alone. What an explosive end to the game.
And that was what we call winions for the side of Helpless Kitties. They take that series 2-0 with the help of their little tiny friends, and then they take that victory, showing that they can take early game advantages as well as stall out in the mid and late game. I would say well played by Helpless Kitties in both of those games.
Yeah, they just show that they have a good understanding of how the macro should go, how the game should flow, and what they can do to get to where they want to be. Just a great showing from everyone on that team. And I'd like to especially point out Teoni, who does such a great job of staying safe in team fights as best he can. Sometimes we saw his positioning get a little bit questionable, like in one of those last fights where that actual last fight where he ulted forward in the fight, but he lived. He knew that he could kite out a Trundle and a Shen, because Shen didn't have dash, and Trundle's Trundle. All he can do is run at you. And you're Xayah with a lot of roots. So that was a great play from him, and indeed the entire team. But that's going to end it for this show match. However, we do have another one coming up at 9 p.m. But if you can't be bothered to remember that, you can always follow us on our Twitch. Just hit that follow button. But if you can't remember that, or you don't want to be following someone on Twitch for whatever reason, you can also join our Discord or check our Twitter, both of the links of which are in the description below. From myself and from Penguin God, thank you so much for coming out to the EU show match. Hope to see you again at 9.